Welcome to the Warning Track Power Hour. I'm Dr. Andrew Scaff. He is Dr. Michael Werman, Esquire. On today's show, we'll be talking a lot about the Super Bowl 49,
59.
59, with the
Yes.
Chiefs, Chiefs and Eagles rematch from 2 seasons ago. We'll be getting into our bets for our Super Bowl spectacular betting special that we do, we'll say every year. We'll take a little break in the middle and talk about the NBA and the big trade there with Luka Doncic. But we'll begin today talking about the actual game itself for the Super Bowl. Uh, Chiefs are going to be going for their third straight Super Bowl rematch from 2 years ago from Philly. Do you think the game is going to be going about the same as it did last time? We'll expect to see the Chiefs being down early and come back late, or expecting a totally different game plan expectation for what you see from the Chiefs in Philly.
Well, I'm hoping it'll go differently. I'm hoping for a relatively stress-free Chiefs win, where they maybe start out ahead and stay ahead. I think that's possible. I think it was maybe what could have developed against Buffalo had that early fumble by Mahomes not happened. The
Yeah.
Chiefs will stay in the lead most of the game that way. I hope that's what happens. The Chiefs get off to a fast start and don't have to look back. I don't think that will happen because I think the Chiefs always play things very close. But that's my ideal game. I think it'll probably be a little lower scoring than that past year, that which was 38-35. Um, that was a very high scoring game. At least I hope the Chiefs defense allows far fewer points than that. I think the Chiefs will probably. I think both teams maybe are a little less explosive than they were at that point. I think Hurts was throwing the ball a lot more in when Philly played last time. I think they're going to use Saquon Barkley a lot more. At least, Saquon can be explosive himself, but I think they're going to try to, grind the clock, grind the ball, just and the Chiefs are going to do the same thing, run the ball a lot, short passes, work the clock, tire the other defense out. So that's I think it'll be a shorter, I think it'll be a lower scoring game. Um, Even though both teams scored quite a few points in the championship games, I don't. I'm hoping for a lower scoring game, at least on the Eagles side. I don't know. I whenever I
That
predict,
just is that mostly because you like to pick all unders on
that's part of it.
bets
I
like
just
this?
like to pick the under. I hope it's 38-3 Chiefs, and that stays under, and the Chiefs score a lot of points. But I don't think that's gonna. I don't. That's not usually the case. It's wishful thinking. Um, I think it'll probably be a close game again, and hope the Chiefs come out on top. But I just
They
want
haven't
one
they haven't
to have an easy game.
they haven't really had an easy game basically all season though, have they?
No, no. I think even the games they've won by double digits have been fairly close. Um, I don't think they've had an easy game really since that game against the Bears last year. Like early in the season, they won like 45-7 or something like that. I think that's the last
Right.
really easy game that they've played. So it's unlikely that it'll happen in the Super Bowl against a very good Eagles team. But um, the Eagles have had some easy games, so I don't know why the Chiefs can't have any easy games. But they're the cardiac kids uh, from Kansas City. But I I'm looking forward to the game. I'm nervous about the Chiefs' chances. I think the Chiefs I think they'll come out, hopefully they come out strong and they don't have to come from behind. Um, I don't, how do you see the game going, Dr. Scaff?
Well, so you're kind of seeing them similar to like how we've talked about Baltimore in the past, like where they have their advantage if they can run the ball and grind the clock. But if they're behind, then you're worried that they're not going to be able to keep up because they don't have the aerial attack. I don't think, as they're built mostly as a running team, right?
Yeah.
So it's more or less the same game plan as they would have faced Baltimore last week if they would have faced them in the AFC Championship game. So Yeah, I think the Chiefs will come out with a good game plan. They did well against Buffalo early. They scored quickly. I think they're probably going to be doing something similar to that against Philadelphia, but yeah, without the turnovers is the goal. And part of what Philly had such an easy time with Washington was because Washington kept turning the ball over, and I can't see the Chiefs doing that in the postseason at least. Regular season, they would turn the ball over pretty regularly, but I don't see that
Yeah,
in
the
the
last
postseason.
several games they had no turn like last 7 or 8 games they had no turnovers until the
Yeah,
so um yeah, it's hard to predict. But if the Chief sometimes Mahomes gets a little tight in the Super Bowl games. He's played sometimes worse in the Super Bowl than he does in the regular parts of the playoffs, which he always seems to have really good games. But he's had some, he had an interception last year's Super Bowl. Um, he didn't have any. He played a flawless game against the Eagles last time though, so maybe he can keep that up. I think the Eagles defense I think was more formidable last time. They both are highly ranked this year and a couple of years ago, but they don't have the pass rush that they did a couple of years ago, and I think that will be the difference because I think the Chiefs line, the weakness of the Chiefs offensive line is against really good pass rushers on the defensive ends, and the Eagles defensive ends aren't, they aren't what some of the other teams that they played this year have been. They have a good just interior defensive line, I think, Philadelphia, but the Chiefs' interior line is also good. So I'm not quite as worried about protecting Mahomes this game as I have been in some of the previous ones. So I think maybe I think maybe the Chiefs they usually do very well against tough defenses if Mahomes has time to throw the ball, and I think he will with Tooney out at the left tackle now, and Taylor hasn't been terrible as a blocker, other than his penalties are what kill the Chiefs. If he doesn't get those penalties, he's done
right.
pretty.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, do you?
The
Oh, you want me? I was like, do you see? Do you think that the game will be a close one, or do you think either team has the advantage in this one? Are
I think
you more worried about Philadelphia than I am, or are you uh, more confident than I am? I'm slightly above 50-50 that the Chiefs will win. I feel a little better than I did against Buffalo. Uh, I was so I'm probably 55% sure the Chiefs will win.
which is extremely high for the Mike Mike Norman confidence
Yeah.
index,
I was
which
about
is
50.3% the Chiefs would win last week.
so for some if you were to put this on a different scale and it'd be not for you, but maybe for someone else who's more of a homer, even more of a homer, it would be like 110%. That's what you're saying. Right?
Yeah.
For Mike Norman, that's very high. It doesn't even go above like 55, does it? Like 55 is about the
I
max.
might have been 60 to 65% the Chiefs would beat the Texans. Um, but yeah,
Uh,
not
I do expect the game to be close, but I don't know that it's going to be. Yeah, I don't expect them to get super far behind or or them to be super ahead either. I guess I don't. I mean, they just seem to always play games in a tight window, and they're fine with that, even if it's the playoffs or they're going for a three or whatever. It doesn't seem like they really get that bothered by having the game be close.
Yeah,
Do they?
I saw one stat that's in Chiefs' favor. Mahomes apparently is 15-0 total when he plays in a dome. He's never lost a game in an indoor stadium, and that includes retractable roofs, which have been some close games in the Super Bowl that Chiefs have played. But the Superdome's roof is completely covered, so maybe that's a better, even more of a dome than sometimes he plays under. So maybe that's a um, more maybe that's something that bodes well for the Chiefs. But I've seen also a bad omen for the Chiefs, uh, that no team. So anytime the Super Bowl has been located centrally between the two teams that are playing, where one team has to travel east and one team has to travel west to the game, The team
Yes.
traveling west, at least since the in this century, has always beaten the team traveling east. And New Orleans is a little bit east of Kansas City. So the Chiefs
Yes.
Eastern team and the Phil in Philadelphia is traveling west. So
Yes.
the Chiefs and by that stat are likely to lose the game because they've had this Eastern travel. So like last year, for example, when the Chiefs um, beat the 49ers in Las Vegas, the 49ers were traveling east and the Chiefs were traveling west. Uh, when the Chiefs beat the Eagles, both teams were traveling west, so it didn't count. Um, and when the Chiefs beat the 49ers the first time, that was in Miami, so both teams were traveling east, so it didn't count. But the time that the Chiefs lost the Super Bowl, they were also traveling east, and the Tampa Buccaneers weren't. I guess they weren't traveling either direction since it was at their home stadium.
I didn't
Uh,
travel at all.
they didn't travel at all. So the East versus the West slash not at all. Um,
So what is the record of teams
uh,
traveling east versus west?
it's like 10. It's like 10 and out. It's like 0 and 10 or something.
So I mean, it's not just like skewed one way a bit. It's like all the way skewed.
Yeah, yeah. This is. I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking. I just Googled it. Yeah, in this century, every time the Super Bowl has been played between the two teams, the one team traveling east and one traveling west, team traveling west has won. Uh, and there have been, I think, maybe only they say maybe only seven Super Bowls that fulfill that. Uh, looking for them. I can't find it. I'm looking for the actual the game stats, but three of the Patriots six Super Bowls have been uh let's see. Here's it's on Twitter or X, whatever it's called now. Okay, so they didn't actually include the Chiefs loss to the um Buccaneers. So in 2002, the Super Bowl was in New Orleans. St. Louis traveled east, and New England traveled west and won. San Diego, Oakland traveled east. Tampa Bay traveled west and won. See in Detroit, Seattle lost to Pittsburgh. Tampa, Arizona lost to Pittsburgh. Uh, I guess Pittsburgh is west of Tampa. I wouldn't think of that, but maybe it. I guess. I mean, Pittsburgh is east of Tampa. I guess I wouldn't think of that necessarily. 2013, New Orleans, San Francisco lost to Baltimore. 2015 in Glendale, Seattle lost to New England. 2019, Atlanta, the Rams lost to New England, and then 2024, Las Vegas, the uh, Chiefs beat San Francisco. So it's happened one, two, three, four, eight times this century. So this would be the ninth time. So I don't know if that's good. I don't know why that is the case, but it is the case.
Well, which city is west of Pittsburgh or Tampa? Which is further west?
Tampa is further west than Pittsburgh.
Yes. Okay. I just pulled up a map and yeah, it looks like Tampa hits. If you went straight north from Tampa, it's like somewhere in central Ohio.
Okay.
Columbus, it looks like about
Yeah.
Tampa would be online with it.
I need a sneeze button.
Yes. Nope. It's
No
no
cough,
sneeze button.
no cough button or sneeze button here at the Morning Trick Power. We want to hear all the real bodily functions as they happen.
Great. That's just a
Uh,
feature. It's not a yes.
Not a problem. Yeah, so do you take stock in any in that stat at all, or is that just a
I mean, of the two, that seems like it's kind of probably just more random than anything. Almost geographical locations. I wouldn't put a whole lot of stock in general. I would think more of the Mahomes record in dome stadium seems like that would be like at least more relevant than where a team is from versus where they have to go in a 2 week stretch too, right? It's not even like
yeah?
like the coast to coast travel on like a short week. That seems to like make more sense to me than some of the other things, at least anyway. But like, a team might be a little extra tired because they lost several time zones and had to travel like the day before a game. I can get that. Like I can get behind that kind of concept anyway, but yeah. East versus West. You travel for a Super Bowl. I wouldn't put anything in that. Do you?
Not really, but I if the Chiefs lose, that's what I will blame.
So it will have nothing to do with like Phillies performance or a bad Chiefs performance. It will be just because of geography.
Yes, Kansas City to New Orleans is slightly east,
Yes.
mostly south, but it is a little bit east. And they said
So
St.
they
Louis, New Orleans is was also. I think where does St. Louis and New Orleans line up?
St. Louis might be slightly east of New Orleans, but it's very close. Yeah, because the Mississippi like runs westward when it gets like into Arkansas, and then it like dips like closer into Louisiana before it goes back down out to where New Orleans is.
Yeah.
So it looks like yeah, New Orleans might be slightly west of St. Louis. This is a Morning Track Power Hour investigation live, real
Yeah.
time.
That means then that New Orleans is it would be if Kansas City went if it's further west than if it's further east than St. Louis, it's about a whole state of Missouri wide uh east of Kansas City.
Yeah.
So it would if yeah, it would take almost it's about it would be about a 4 hour drive just to get to New Orleans from Kansas City if it were located where the on the St. Louis level of latitude, I guess.
Yes. It's almost straight north. Oh, it's awfully close.
Well, the Rams are no longer in St. Louis. Now they're in Los Angeles, so they would New Orleans is definitely east of Los Angeles.
Yes. Right.
But
Right.
yeah, I think the last time the Chiefs played a Super Bowl in New Orleans, that was when they played in Super Bowl four when the Chiefs beat the Minnesota Vikings 23-7 in that would be 55 years ago. So now, so maybe that's also good for the Chiefs. I believe, yeah, that was before the Superdome was built. They played at Tulane Stadium, I think, in that game. So that was an outdoor game. So the Chiefs haven't played in indoors in New Orleans in the Super Bowl before. I think Mahomes has only played in the Superdome one time. I think we mentioned that game last week because that was one of the anti-scoregami games. It was a 32-29 game that the Chiefs won against the Saints a few years back. So he does have experience playing there. Um, yeah. Do you think the location will be good for the Chiefs? It's closer to Kansas City than it is Philadelphia. Do you think that will play a role, or are Chiefs fans tired of traveling? Do you think the crowd will be more? The crowd is always kind of neutral in a Super Bowl game, but do you think there's going to be more Philly fans or more Chiefs fans in the crowd?
Um, I don't know. I mean, Kansas City fans, I think, travel pretty well. They're pretty accustomed to it. I think they're still pretty. willing to spend money to go watch them. And I think maybe fans that didn't get to go before will probably try to go because they missed out on the fun in the previous couple of years. So I think yeah, Chiefs attendance will probably be still pretty high. Philly was there just a couple of years ago. They're a different team now, so well, it could be. Hopefully, it'll be relatively split, but I think
Ticket
it'll be probably more pro KC than
ticket
not.
prices are going down, so maybe that will help more. I think I don't know if Kansas City fans are more frugal than Philadelphia fans, but it seems like demand is a little lower, and last minute fans might come from Kansas City more likely than they would come from Philadelphia if ticket prices are going down. Because both teams have had Super Bowl trips in the last few years. This will be
Mhm.
it's Philadelphia's second time in 3 years, and they won it in 2017, so third time in 10 years that they've been to the Super Bowl. So maybe again, or maybe it's because the among the idiocracy uh, um, that the games are rigged and the Chiefs are being helped by the refs. Maybe that's been lowering ticket prices because people have decided to boycott the supposedly scripted uh, NFL.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't
You've always thought the refs are more incompetent than purposefully
I have.
uh like pushing towards an outcome, I guess, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think they're
Because
more.
that has been a discussion that we've had for a year.
Yeah, I think they're more incompetent than anything. If, again, or just they're human and they make mistakes. I don't think they try uh, to do it to favor one team or the other. In most cases, I guess there was they had the umpire recently that was just fired from baseball. Did you hear that story?
Yes.
For
And we've talked about him on this show before too.
for gambling.
No, because he had a good stat a few years ago. He was the perfect game umpire
Oh, he was.
who called every strike a strike, every ball a ball. It was like the first time it had ever happened. We actually had that. We discussed that on this show, and now just a few years later, he is out of the league, fired for having an improper gambling account. Apparently, that was supposedly shared with a friend of his.
Yeah. It was Pat Hoberg. Yeah, I didn't place the two of them together. I just didn't. Yeah,
Yeah,
so maybe he was even more finely focused because was interested in gambling. He was he was actually a better referee because of legalized gambling. But that was a few, maybe, or maybe he had such a fall from grace because he was so perfect, but then maybe he wasn't
yes.
recognized enough, and then he decided, oh, I'm going to gamble and bet, and now look what happened to me.
But what it looks like from the outsider perspective is that finally an umpire was actually good, got all the calls correct, and then they had to fire him. They had to find a reason to get rid of him.
Yeah, it said the friend made 141 baseball bets between April 2nd, 2021 and November 2023, totaling almost 214,000 with an overall win of nearly 35,000. So he won quite a bit of money on those baseball bets. So he must have
Yeah.
been kicked off or something by the umpire or something. That's a lot of that's either he was just really good at gambling or he knew something. But um yeah, he shared his betting accounts with a professional poker player. Uh Holbrook's only 38 years old, so he's younger than we are. Um, but he made those bets while he was so he made the bets between 2021 and 2023, and the perfect game was in the 2022 World Series. So he was making bets while he was umpiring. So maybe he was able to separate his umpiring experience from his gambling experience. Have you watched the show Severance? Have you watched any of that?
I've seen the first season. I have not started the new season yet. Have you? Are you caught up currently, or?
I am. Well, I watched the first season this weekend with MJ, and then I watched the first episode of the second season, which got a little bit of closure for the first season. But I haven't
Okay.
watched. I'm waiting for the other ones to kind of so we can binge it again.
Yeah.
um, which I thought, yeah, I wasn't sure if I'd like the show or not, but I found it really fascinating. And so,
Yeah.
would
The
you
first season
want,
was really good. Yeah.
yeah, would you want to be severed, like your work self be different from your personal life self? Would you find that appealing at all, or would you not want to do that? Would you like, 'cause, like, I'm sure you probably, when you leave work, you're probably still thinking about work. It's still on your mind. You can't enjoy your life the way it is. And if you could just get rid of all that work thought and separate yourself from it, maybe you would be happier in the rest of your life, even if you'd be more isolated at work.
That's not been how my experience. I don't think I can't really do that. So the concept of that is nice, but I don't think I would actually want that though.
No.
I like to be able to think about things that are, I'm not doing right now, I guess, but still have them like churning in the back somewhere where I can, you know, I appreciate that. I actually want to do that.
You don't like the separate innie and outie lives.
No, 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 I don't like that
If
concept.
you had a more traditional 9 to 5 job, would you think differently?
Then probably yes, if my job was just doing a thing over and over again, or had like security like clearance type issues, then that might be a good idea in general. So it's like if you when you leave work, you literally don't know like the state secrets that you're not supposed to tell anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be, great from the secrecy or concept of what you're working on. Like even you don't actually know what you're working on after you leave the office, right?
Yeah.
But no, otherwise, no, I don't want that. Would you want that?
Sometimes I feel like I'm dwelling on work when I'm not at work and it doesn't help me at all and I don't like it. So sometimes I think I would enjoy my life more if I didn't have to think about what I do at work. Because
Yeah,
now I'm working more of like a job that requires at the public defender's office because I have to, but now I'm thinking about my clients outside of work and what I could be doing. And like, usually it's just not helpful. And I don't really do any more work, but I dwell on it. Um, so if I could, I wouldn't want necessarily like the way in Severance where you couldn't leave work at all. Basically you're stuck there from 9 to 5 and there's no outside contact. I would like to be able to flip that switch a little bit more often and be able to leave work and come back into work if I needed to go someplace. I go to lunch or something like that. I can go and do that. I clock out where I don't where again Severance, you have to eat food from the vending machine. That doesn't seem too fun, and it's all everything is. But if I could do it in a more nuanced way, and be able to like clock out for lunch, clock out because I want to go do something, or I like if I can make arrangements to do something ahead of time for something else. I would like that, but um, because I feel like I am overburdened by uh, just stuff that just weighs me down rather than helps me in any way. I feel overwhelming senses of guilt and laziness. Like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing when I'm not in work, not at work. So, and I think I would get more work done while I was at work if I didn't, if I had that as well. But um, I don't know. In reality, no, I wouldn't want to do it. But it's tempting uh, right now
yeah.
in my
But
current life.
is it tempting more for keeping you more focused at work, or by not having your life, your outside work life interrupt your work though too? Because it does sort of go both ways, right?
Yeah, I don't care about being more focused at work, really. I still might be a goof off, somewhat. I don't know, but I like I like the idea that I'm not. If I could only think about work while I'm at work and not have to deal with it outside of work, I would like that.
Yes. Yeah.
And I feel like since I was in graduate school, basically, I've only thought about work all the time in my life, and it's no fun, and I haven't been very happy. compared to when I was a kid or something like that. So it's one of those things.
Right. And that always makes it difficult because you only really know the not having to work at all as a child. You don't know what if you would appreciate that more as an adult or not having to work. So what you
And
need is like unlimited finances so you can try that experiment, right?
and I wouldn't feel like I'm counting down to like, oh, there's 3 more hours till work, 2 more hours till work, or I have an hour before I go to bed. Then when I wake up, I have to get ready for work. I wouldn't have that constant countdown clock because I would just be out of it. And then I would always be, and for my outie self, I would always be out of work and I would know I'm done and I think that would be great. Even though I think it would torment my innie self because I would probably grow to hate my outie self as the innie because I'm always at work and can't do anything else. But um, that two separate people idea gets was interesting. It
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's an entertaining show though.
was a good show. It is a good show.
I was surprised to find out that yes, it was that Ben Stiller was involved in it because I've not been impressed with a lot of the stuff that he's done in the past.
Yeah, yeah, he's done
Like,
a good job
how
with
is he
those.
involved in this?
Yeah. It's got some funny moments too. It's a uh interesting show. But um speaking of severance, should we sever our football talk right now and talk a little bit more about baseball? We talked a little about baseball when we talked about the umpiring story.
Yes.
We went to regular severance talk. Uh uh we guess we don't have any more baseball talk. Maybe we should talk about another sport besides football, was what I mean. Uh,
Sure.
there's big news in the world of basketball. Patrick Mahomes was talking about it as well. So it does relate to football somewhat, in that the Dallas Mavericks uh, traded their star player Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers, who traded one of their stars um, uh, uh, to is
Davis.
Anthony Davis. Yeah,
Yes.
AD. I couldn't get
Yes.
Davis out of my mouth. I
Yeah.
got Anthony
The
something.
brow.
Yeah, the Brow. Yes, Anthony the Brow Davis, who's averaging like 27 points and 12 rebounds this season. What is best season that he's had in the NBA? He was traded to the Mavericks, and there were a lot of other pieces traded. It was a three-team trade. Was it the Timberwolves? Was the other?
Hmm. Oh, I
It
don't even remember who the other team was. It was like, yeah, Sacramento or somebody. It was somebody else, right?
was a what? Um, yeah, it was the Jazz. It was the Jazz.
Oh, Utah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. It was one of those. It was some West Conference team that was
Yes. We both picked the wrong one, a wrong team, but equally wrong.
Western Conference. Yeah, the Jazz. So the Jazz basically took all this. They were receiving two second round picks, one from the Mavericks, one from the Lakers. Uh, so there's also $55,000 in cash that Utah is sending both the Lakers and the Mavericks. That why so 50, why 55? Is that for accounting purposes or is that to even the trade out? 55K is not very much for an NBA team.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
and what, like, why were they? Why was the third team involved at all anyway? Like, what?
it must have been some accounting move, right? That I don't understand the NBA salary cap and the luxury tax and all that stuff. Uh,
Right.
Even it's different from the NFL, so I don't follow it and understand it as much. But I do understand that a lot of Dallas Mavericks fans are upset that Doncic, who was maybe the second or third best player in the NBA,
Easily top five.
top five, maybe
Yeah.
Jokic
Probably
and
top three. Yeah.
Giannis are the top two right now.
Yeah.
And Jokic and Doncic is probably third or definitely all NBA. He was like a first team All NBA player like 5 times. He's only 25 years old.
Right.
Uh, and Anthony Davis is like 32-ish. So but the idea is maybe that Anthony
He's
Davis will
about
help,
to turn 32, I think.
yeah, maybe Anthony
Yeah.
Davis will help the Mavericks in the short term, but I think Doncic is the better long-term play. Um,
Yeah. But yeah, it seems like Dallas was maybe not interested in paying Doncic a supermax contract, which he was eligible for after the end of the season. So they were looking for trade partners. But what was maybe most impressive about the deal was that it was very quietly put together and sort of announced in the middle of the night, even. So like Dallas fans went to bed knowing that that Doncic was their guy, and then waking up to find out that he had been traded in during the night. Even so,
yeah, that was really surprising, and like that's what everybody real was stunned on in the fan world and the even the media world. Nobody had any inklings of that happening. I think even some surprising trades that the NFL has made, like when the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill, that was surprising because the way it happened. But at least a couple days before, there were rumors that Tyreek wanted a new contract and wanted something different, and
yeah,
the trade itself was surprising, but it didn't come out of nowhere in the way that they always have a little. There's always a little bit of news surrounding it. This doesn't seem like there was any. Uh, uh, because it seems like it wasn't done with any players um, in mind. There weren't players requesting it.
right. And so
Jimmy
like
Butler, Jimmy Butler's been
usually somebody says they want out, right?
like
That's
Jimmy Butler's been wanting out, and I think he had a trade. They were going to trade Butler from the Heat to the Warriors, but he didn't want to sign a contract with the Warriors, so that fell through recently. Um,
well,
also,
like just in the NFL, since we were just mentioning, like Miles Garrett
Miles
apparently
Garrett,
is asking
yeah,
out of Cleveland, and it sounds like the Rams are likely going to be looking to trade uh, their
Cooper
wide
Cup,
receiver Cooper Kupp too,
yeah,
which is a little surprising. But usually there's some kind of indication ahead of time that somebody is upset or
yeah,
looking to make a move. However, whatever the situation is, whether it's like a contract dispute or something like that, there's usually some kind of like prelude to it. And this was like, nothing at all. I guess the Mavs had made some comments about Doncic's, uh, lingering injury, perhaps tied to maybe conditioning or weight management kind of issues. Like that
mm,
had been sort of talked about, I guess, in the past. But yeah, new ownership too, which is not necessarily a basketball oriented ownership group there, since
oh
the
yeah,
the team was sold by Mark Cuban a few years ago, or maybe just a year ago even.
he's still he's still a minority owner, but he's not the principal owner anymore. Uh,
Yeah,
I was just reading about because I had forgotten that he had sold the Maverick.
divested some of his shares, at least anyway.
Yeah, they 73% of the Mavericks were to the new people, and um, yeah, I am a little surprised that I don't think with Cuban he would have traded they would have traded
I don't
Doncic,
think so. Yeah,
or they would have I think gotten more from these other teams because I don't think the Lakers gave up a lot. Yeah, Davis is a really good player, but he's older. He doesn't have, he's a big guy. Big guys don't usually play until they're 40 or play well
right.
until 40, whereas littler guys can. Um,
He's somewhat injury prone. He's had pretty long history of missing big parts of seasons or
yeah.
uh but yeah, I mean it really changes the like complexion of both teams then like the Lakers are getting much smaller in effect, right? With the trading a guard for a center,
Yes.
trading for a guard, giving up a center. Where Dallas had, more like three guards that they were running pretty heavily, and now, have a big guy. So like, both teams in theory could be very different, good or bad, I guess, depending on how they integrate the new players.
Yeah, both teams are still playing like Dallas is on the periphery of the playoff hunt right now, and the Lakers are kind of in the mid. They're like number 5 seed right now. So you they both are fighting for playoff positioning, and it's very unusual that I think that teams would trade like this. It's um,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
it's very uncommon too to have all NBA players traded for each other. Apparently, that's the first time that has happened.
Yeah, and the Lakers didn't give up a ton of draft picks or anything like that. So I don't, yeah, it's unusual. If I were the Lakers, that's a great trade for them, I think, going forward. I think the Lakers are looking for a big man, but I think it's easier to find a big guy that can kind of take up space than it is to find another, Doncic type player. So,
They're
um,
pretty uncommon. Do you
especially
think?
when LeBron leaves, I think Doncic can kind of fill in a lot of that and play well with LeBron. LeBron can kind of move, I guess, into the bigger role for a little while, play
Yeah.
forward
So do you
more.
think this was maybe from the Lakers' perspective is a move? Do you think it's more of to replace LeBron, or do you think it's maybe more to entice LeBron to stay longer?
I think it's a long-term replacement for LeBron, but maybe also maybe a slight lengthening of his career with the Lakers. Maybe he thinks he won't have to work as hard because he's been doing kind of everything for them the last few years, even as he's gotten older. Maybe maybe this will gives him a little bit of a break and lets him be um a more stationary player rather than you know just the guy who he doesn't need to have the ball in his hand all the time.
Right? He doesn't have to be the primary ball handler either, right? So yeah, because yes, Luka seems to be very comfortable in that role. So seems to be a good move, though, right? Then maybe that will actually preserve LeBron a bit.
Maybe, yeah. So I think for the Lakers, it's good. I think long term, it's good. Maybe it's not quite. I don't know if it's maybe it takes them down a little bit short term since they don't have the big guy, but it also I don't. It seems like it might hurt both teams a little bit short term, but at least the Lakers have the long term benefit of having Doncic. I don't think the Brow's is a really great player, but I don't know. Maybe they. It's just it was just a strange trade, I thought, but.
Both players are kind of currently maybe a little bit hindered with injuries. Like Doncic may have like a hamstring, like lower body injury, and uh, Davis had I think an abdominal injury. Like maybe left a game just a couple days ago with an abdominal injury. So like those can linger too. So maybe it doesn't actually hurt either team in the immediate because they're both already sort of injured. But it's still very strange to have players of that stature traded for each other, especially like a year before a contract year.
Yeah, it seems like definitely they weren't going to pay him the big contract. So maybe instead
Yeah.
of they wanted to get something for him while they could. Um, they did make the finals of the NBA finals last year, though. So it's
Just last year.
getting pretty close to winning the whole thing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a little odd to rebuild after you get so close. This year, I guess they weren't doing as well, but that's because Doncic has been injured a lot. So it's just strange. I don't know, but
Maybe Dallas was concerned about their being able to integrate still, with Kyrie and Doncic because there's only one ball, so and they both would,
yeah,
probably prefer to have it
yeah,
going up the floor.
I guess
But now that's kind of done. I guess I don't have to worry about that now.
yeah, maybe Kyrie's flat Earth theories have you know, um, taken hold in Dallas, and they wanted to get rid of Doncic, who's a, a spherical Earth guy. I'm not sure,
Could be.
but the basketball is spherical, but the football famously is oblong and not spherical. Should we go back to talking about the Super Bowl and,
Sure.
and our bets on the Super Bowl?
All right, let's do it.
We can be fairly brief with that because we'll talk about the game in detail, what happened in the game next week, and what happens with our bets. We can whether we win or lose our bets next week, but we can talk about a few of our bets I think this week. What our best bets for the game are, what we think the scores might be, what we think will happen. And then, yeah, I think, we've been talking about the game the last couple of weeks now. I don't think we need to rehash more of it. Um, but so we are both predicting the Chiefs to win. Is that our official stance? So we're both taking the Chiefs on the money line.
Yeah, so we've got the pretty close spread. It's same spread as the Buffalo game, even.
Yeah,
Chiefs favored by 1.5.
-1.5.
Although they're technically the road team here, I guess, in New Orleans.
Yeah, they're the road team. Uh, they were the same as they were against the Eagles 2 years ago. They were the road team wearing the white jerseys,
Yeah.
uh, the green jersey Eagles. So uh, Chiefs have done. They've won, I believe, one only one of their three Super Bowls as the road team. I think they won as the home team both times against the 49ers, if I'm correct. Um, but Yeah, they've beaten the Eagles as the road team before in Glendale, Arizona. So maybe they can win as a road team again. And they only lost one game on the road this year. And the Eagles did were not undefeated at home this year. The Chiefs and the Bills were the only two undefeated home teams this year, I remember. So I can't remember who the Eagles lost to uh, at home. Maybe it was Tampa, was they lost to Atlanta, I believe, at home early in the season. This At least that game. Maybe they lost another one, but I know they lost it to the Falcons early at home. But we're both thinking the Chiefs are going to win. Do you think the Chiefs are going to cover? Is that you don't think the Chiefs will win it by exactly 1 point?
I'm gonna try to thread the needle now. I'll take them on the money
Sure.
line and the spread. You're doing the same thing?
I'm doing money line and spread as well, Chiefs. And the over under of the game is 48.5 points. Are you going with the over or with the under, Dr. Scott?
Well, I'm pretty sure you're going to be going with the under. That's been your MO for the last several months, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, I think so.
Unless you're going to mix it up here, but I've been tending to go overs. I think the playoff games have been a little higher scoring. That the teams that have advanced anyway, their games have been pretty high scoring in the playoffs. So I think I'm gonna stick with the over. I think in this one, it's 48.5.
48.5. I'm gonna go with the under. I've been going with the under all season. So why switch now? I'm actually all of the prop bets that we're gonna make with over under yardage and totals by rushing and passing, receiving those. I'm going to go under as well. I'm just I don't if I feel like I will have a better chance of getting more correct than I would if I did each one individually, because there's certainly going to be some that are over, some that are under. But if I stick with all under, I think I can. I want to say more than half are going to be under, so I want to stick with all under because I think I won't miss out on I won't be if I get if there's one under and one over, I guarantee we'll get one right out of those two rather than possibly missing both of those. I also possibly missed the double, but I'd rather go for the safer play.
So in the AFC NFC Championship games, yeah, I picked on both sides. You picked the straight down the line. I spent more time thinking about it. This is maybe where the Severance in the Audi thing, where yeah, I spent a lot of time thinking about it. Did pick both sides. I got one more pick, I think, right
Yeah.
of all of them, and that was it actually worth the time investment? No, probably not. So are they just going straight overs, which would have been the same as what you would have done? In
Yeah.
fact, it would have been fine. Yes.
I
So
yeah.
I'm still going to pick them out, but I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to pick them all at this point. But
Yeah.
like, I'll probably be taking unders on like Philly rushing yards for Barkley and probably Hurts also. Chiefs run defense seems to be pretty decent. So
Yeah. Barkley is rushing yards over under
109.
109.5 and Hertz is under 36.5. So yeah, yeah, you wonder how much Hertz's knee is still bothering him.
Yeah.
Uh, and on the turf in New Orleans, maybe he won't run quite as much. But yeah, it's hard to say. But I'm gonna pick under for both of those as well, just because I think that if the game does go, if the score is under, then most of the totals I think will fall under.
Yeah.
And even if the score is over, it doesn't necessarily mean the totals won't go under either, because sometimes it depends on who's, where the productivity comes from, where the touchdowns come from, where the points come from, where the yardage comes from. Because the Chiefs scored more points against the Bills than they did against the Texans. But for example, Travis Kelce had far fewer yards receiving. I think the Chiefs running backs had fewer yards rushing than they did against the Texans. So there were still a lot of unders to be found, even in the high scoring games. So
Yeah.
um, that's why I'm going to stay under.
But especially like with the Chiefs like receiving crew, you don't know who's going to have the big game. Like somebody will have a pretty good game, but you just don't know who it's going to be. And there's like five or six different options that could be,
Hmm.
the guy. And I
Yeah.
know one of some of the picks that we've liked to make like in our like sort of bonus picks is who we think will be the anytime touchdown scorers though too. Any highlights from your picks that you think that you're looking at anyway for the Super Bowl
Yeah, I actually made
or props?
three anytime touchdown bets for the Chiefs. I made $100 bet on Mahomes anytime touchdown rushing, or I guess receiving, at plus 400. I remember mentioning last week I was wanting to do that before the championship game. He actually scored two rushing touchdowns. I think he's going to run more. He runs in the Super Bowl somewhat regularly, maybe more than he does in the regular season, because he puts his body on the line a little bit more. So plus 400, I think, is pretty good.
But not
Uh,
as a sneak, though. Do you think you'll see a
uh,
sneak from Mahomes?
no, I still
Still
think,
no.
but I think there'll be maybe a design quarterback run, or will be a scramble touchdown. It's possible. I also have anytime touchdowns for um, uh, Noah Gray at plus 550 and DeAndre Hopkins at plus 650. Just trying to kind of guessing maybe that they might be used a little bit more. Gray had a few touchdowns during the regular season. Hopkins did as well, but Hopkins hasn't made much noise in the playoffs. So you think maybe this is his time to shine in the Super Bowl. He'll have a little bit more uh, a few more targets or something like that. So, those are just I thought plus 650 for Hopkins, plus 550 for Gray were pretty good odds. So I put $50 on each of those. Um, do you have any anytime touchdown scores you're looking at?
I do have two actually. One I think is a pretty good chance anyway with Xavier Worthy anytime touchdown scorer because he may rush the ball down close to the goal line or catch a long pass somewhere else. But so yeah, I think I kind of two bites at the apple there with Worthy as a
Yeah.
anytime touchdown scorer option, and then my as a long shot have a KC defensive touchdown though too, so that could be interesting at
They
least.
did score a touchdown in the last game against the Eagles in the Super Bowl when Nick Bolton returned Jalen Hurts fumble. They almost scored two defensive touchdowns that game. You remember there was another close uh, possible fumble recovery touchdown that the Chiefs could have returned, but that was called back because it was seen as an incomplete pass or something instead of a fumble. Um, but yeah, I think any of those are possible. It's all of this stuff seems possible when we're making our bets, so it's hard to say. Usually we lose money on the prop bets, but I've made a number of bets that I think are I made an anti-scoregami bet uh that the final score of the game at plus 440 would equal the score of a previous Super Bowl, which
That's
uh which I don't know will happen, if that will happen or not. Plus 440, I think it's probably not the best odds. I don't know how many combinations there are, how many Super Bowls have there have been almost 60 Super Bowls. I don't know how many of those games have been anti Super Bowl scoregamis. Um, I don't know if there's even been one actually, but I think there have been. There has to be at least a couple that had the same score. And the more games that are played, the more likely that a future game will have the same score as one that's been played. Um, so yeah, it'll be.
So you're now projecting like a 5-2 game.
Yeah, no.
What was it? 21-17? Was that the
The most common score is 20 to 17 overall,
2017, not 21.
20 to
Yes, 20
17,
to 17.
which I think has happened. Let's see, winning team 20 to 17 has happened 297 times in NFL history.
Oh,
Uh,
but how many Super Bowl scores have been that?
I don't know if any have 21 has happened 106 times. So 200, so almost three times as likely to be 20 to 17 as 21 to 17, which I think is kind of crazy. Uh,
There was a 20-16 Super Bowl.
yeah. Um, I don't think there's been a 20 to 17 Super Bowl.
There's a 21-17 Pittsburgh Dallas and 76.
Oh wait, there was a Super Bowl. There was the Patriots Rams Super Bowl was 20 to 17 in 2002. New England
Yep, there it is.
20.
So that would work.
That was also in New Orleans, so in the Superdome. So maybe,
So there's a precedent
yeah, maybe there will be a
in
Chiefs.
this same stadium.
I hope Chiefs 20 uh to 17. Actually, I hope it would be one of the more blowout scores that's still under. I guess they
That would
wouldn't
fit with the you'd cover your spread and the money line and your under, and then your all your other unders would be pretty likely because the total score would be pretty low.
yeah,
So you'd be pretty happy with that, actually.
I would be, but I'm not holding my breath for those results. But
As a sports bettor, you would be happy, but you're any sports bettor, if it be your Audi Chiefs fan, is not terribly happy.
yeah, yeah. The
Just to reference this back
Severance.
to Severance, yes.
How do you have any interesting bets that you want to talk about before we sever this episode of the One Trick Power Hour?
I have a couple like more conservative bets than I normally do here. Like I have a couple different like sack uh recipient like so like Carl I have Karlaftis and Dana each having a sack at
Ooh.
different odds anyway. I have like uh Harrison Butker having over 7.5 points kicking, but nothing too terribly exciting. I have a successful 2 point conversion as a pick. Uh, Travis Kelce to catch the first pass that the Chiefs have,
Um,
stuff like that.
yeah.
I do have a Jaden Hicks interception though. That's my one of my longer odd picks.
Yeah, my longest odd pick is a plus 3,700 any quarterback to score a receiving touchdown. So that's to if Mahomes or Hurts recreate the so-called Philly special of 2017 where Nick Foles caught a touchdown pass. I think the Chiefs like to run stupid stuff like that. And I could see they have had Kelsey try to throw a pass to Mahomes in the past. And I could see that maybe happening. Or I could see Hurts catching one from somebody as well on a trick play to kind of because Philadelphia's done it in the past. I could see an homage to it from one side or the other. Um,
what would you rather see? The Chiefs do yeah, like that Philly type play there, or would you rather see run the brotherly shove play at some point during the game?
I'd rather see that. They won't do the brotherly shove. At least they won't do it with Mahomes in the backfield. They might do it with
Yeah.
Carson Wentz or somebody like that. Or sometimes the Chiefs have had two quarterbacks in the backfield at the same time with Wentz and Mahomes. It might be poetic for Wentz to catch the touchdown pass against his former team as well from Mahomes. Maybe that would be an even another possible play. So
You really want to see Mahomes catch passes because you will win two bets then that you've made.
I would get the anytime touchdown plus the quarterback score receiving touchdown. Yes, I would like to see that.
That would
But
be a very big payout for you, Matt,
yeah,
for
Maybe Carson Wentz to
your good
Mahomes
bets.
would be the play.
Then you could also have the what was it, the number of players throwing touchdown passes of over 2.5, I think
Oh, two
was.
and a half. I didn't see that bet this year, but I'm sure it's on there
I did
somewhere.
see it in the list, and I didn't even consider it. I just went right past it.
Two and a half. Yeah.
But no, no picks on like the length of the national anthem or specific like guest stars on the halftime show,
I did
nothing like
do
that.
I did do a
Maybe
dumb one. The Chiefs win the game plus win the coin toss at plus
okay. There
60.
we go.
The coin toss
That's me
would be
something.
plus or minus 104. But I think so if I had to bet if you had to bet the coin toss, would you go heads or tails?
Tails.
I'm
Always
gonna.
go
I
tails.
would go tails as well because I think the teams will call tails, and the Chiefs are going to pick the are going because the visiting team are going to get to call the coin toss, and I think they will pick tails, because tails never fails except 50% of the time. Uh, but I think so. I think the Chiefs will call tails. They'll get tails, and then they will defer uh, to the other team to the Eagles to start the game, and then try to get that 2-for-1 uh, end of the first half, start of the second half possessions in a row, and then win the game. But that's my hope anyway. But yes.
We we have talked a lot about the game though too, but it is a spectacle, Mike. I I know you're a sports fan and a Chiefs fan, so I'm going to say you're going to probably assume you're going to like be most interested in the game itself. But besides, we'll throw that one out. Uh, so of the remaining parts of the Super Bowl, what are you more excited for? The entirely new commercial set or the halftime show?
Commercials. I don't really follow Kendrick Lamar.
Uh,
I'm sure he's good, but I'm not really a hip hop guy. How about you?
in the halftime show, I liked one of his albums anyway. Damn, was really good.
Okay.
He won a Pulitzer for that.
Hmm. So, well, good for him. Yeah, I don't. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I will probably be driving between different locations during the halftime show because I'm
Oh,
gonna watch part of the game with my daughter, the first half, and then part of the other second half with friends of mine. So I probably won't
nice.
see most of the halftime show anyway. I will be watching the Doritos commercials featuring the Chiefs and other commercials featuring the Chiefs, I hope. Um,
Yes.
I saw there was one prop bet whether you could pick M&M, there'd be an M&M's commercial or a Doritos commercial coming first. Which would be the first one during the game? Would it be M&M's or Doritos?
The first one after the game starts.
I think after the game starts, yeah.
Because it's always weird about like how what do you say like where does it start? Like 'cause the coverage for the game starts
Yeah, I guess it's
a
after the
long
first.
time before the game.
Yeah, I think it's after the first kickoff, is
Okay,
what they mean.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll find out what happens after the first kickoff and before and be able to talk about what happens during those 60 minutes of game time action and the 200 probably minutes of non game time action that the game will take. Probably take about 4 hours, the game with the extended halftime show. Yeah, are you more excited about this Super Bowl than previous ones, or are you less excited because it's become old hat for the Chiefs now to be in the Super Bowl? They've been in five out of the last six. They've won the last two. Are you looking for the three-peat? Is that something that's really um, causing you to be more interested in the game than you might otherwise be, or is this simply because the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl, you're going to be paying attention as closely as you can?
As closely as I can. But yeah, I think the three-peat does make it, more of a reason to watch though. But I would say that I'm definitely like less nervous about this one. Like we've had so much success recently. It's like they've had a great run. Like even if they don't play their best game, they're still going to be in it. But I'm
Yeah,
not so worried about it though. I know the first Super Bowl, like I was like almost like a wreck getting ready to watch it even like because like I'd never gotten to see one in my lifetime, as
yeah,
would have been the same situation for you.
yeah.
Seeing the Chiefs actually compete for one and seen lots of Super Bowls, just hadn't seen my team compete for one. So it was really nerve-wracking watching that first one and the lead up to it, and then actually watching it. Yeah,
Yeah, and then
it was
they got
nerve-wracking.
come from behind, and they were down most of that game too against the 49ers, the first 49ers game.
Yeah,
That was a rough game to watch. Um,
yeah. And
speaking of,
then losing the next one wasn't
yeah,
great.
yeah.
And but then winning a couple after that, I'm just not quite as, I don't know, worried about it. I guess maybe
Okay.
that's more like it. Or are you in the same boat, or are you the
I'm
same nervous wreck all the time?
I'm nervous, and I'm always more relieved when the Chiefs win than happy. Uh,
Yeah,
but I have, especially the Super Bowl, the last couple Super Bowls, I've just been relieved that they won. I haven't really been super happy. So this, if the Chiefs win this one, I'll probably just be relieved again rather than happy. I feel like I'll be happier now that they won three in a row. They won't have to try to be, I won't be as nervous next year or something like that. But I doubt that'll. I'm sure I will be just as nervous.
yeah.
But I was going to add one thing before we sign off. Did you see that Donald Trump is going to be in the audience of the Super Bowl this year? I think the first sitting president to be at the Super Bowl.
Hmm.
Speaking of President Trump, do you think that they'll show Donald Trump more or Taylor Swift more in this
Hmm.
during the game?
Ooh, is there a prop bet on that?
I'm not sure. I think that there might be, but
There should be.
it hasn't been. It's been maybe too recently announced to have put it up there yet. I don't know. I think it's only announced today that Trump's going to go.
And will they be like in nearby uh like seats? Not, they obviously won't be in the same suite. You think they'll be like in like close enough that they would be able to see each other?
Yeah, I don't know.
I would think they'll probably show. Whew. Well, they could show Trump basically for any scenario. They'll probably only show Taylor if Kelsey's doing something, I guess, right? Positive or negative. So there's probably more likely that they'll show Trump more. I don't know. What were you thinking on that?
I was thinking, well, it depends on what if you talk about just during the game or after the game counts. So, like, if the Chiefs win, they'll probably show a lot of Taylor Swift down on the field with the Chiefs.
Right.
Um, but maybe Trump would want to do that too. I don't know who would he maybe he'd want to part of the celebration. I don't know. I think during the game probably they'll show more Trump than they would show Taylor Swift just because he's the president. Uh,
Yeah.
because they'll show a lot of other celebrities. But um,
Mhm.
if it was, if Swift was the only celebrity in the crowd, like normal Chiefs games,
Yeah.
maybe not the only, she's not the only one there, but like she's the biggest one there, and like it has the biggest, has the most. Well, she also might have the most celebrities that come to see her in her box more than President Trump might. A through security and B, I think popularity wise. I don't know if he's going to be the most popular among the celebrity crowd at the
Yeah.
um, or people might not want to be seen shaking his hand, especially given what's happening right now.
Yes.
But there might be some C or D list celebrities, Mel Gibson or well, that Mel Gibson used to be an A, or Scott Baio, these kind of lower level celebrities that are Republican. Uh, ambassadors to Hollywood, like but or older washed up celebrities might want to be seen with President Trump. But I think, like at the Super Bowl last year, I think you saw like Paul McCartney with Taylor Swift, and you saw some other really big names with her. Uh,
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark was at the one of the more recent Chiefs games with Taylor Swift. So
Yep.
maybe, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that will be a celebrity magnet for other people, and Swift will be in the shot. So I don't know. I tend to think probably they'll show Trump more, just because I don't know, because he's the president.
Yeah. And he sort of maybe is more of the target audience's favorite, probably too. I think
And
they
it's on
tend to
Fox.
show Taylor Swift because it earns
Yeah,
the Trump supporters in general, but
but he's on Fox, so that's the it's that one also might be a Trump thing. Even the Fox
yeah,
Network and Fox News are separate, but in a lot of ways.
right,
I think, I think Trump seems to like the Chiefs a lot, at least in his tweets, because he likes Brittany Mahomes' supposed support of him.
right.
So he might be. And then Philadelphia is, even though it's in Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania was a state that he carried, but Philadelphia was very anti-Trump in its voting. He might not like uh,
Every
Philadelphia.
city is though in general,
Well,
but
Kansas City not as much. It's seen as the Midwestern, Trumpy. It's in between. It's part of two states that voted for.
yeah. Well, the state is pretty conservative, but the cities are
Yeah,
pretty liberal in
yeah,
general.
but it's smaller, and both
Yeah,
Kansas and Missouri voted for him rather than New Jersey and these other states that Philadelphia touches, or
right.
were not uh, red states in the
Right.
election.
The states as a whole actually went the other way, but
Yeah, so that's the I don't know.
right, sure, yeah,
But
yeah.
we will definitely be watching, even if whoever comes on screen, we will be paying attention, because we will be watching with our eyes glued to the game. Maybe not so much the commercials, but maybe we'll watch most of those too. But do you have any final thoughts, or should we wrap up this week's episode of the One Trick Power Hour?
Well, did you give your prediction for the final score? I think you like to tend to think just like say what you think the final score will be.
Um, so I want it to be under 48 and a half. So I'll
Yeah,
say 27-20 Chiefs.
that's
How
still
about
so that's a little further apart than I thought you might. That's comfortable, I guess. But yeah, it's going to be like within eight, probably, right? So
you? Yeah, I can
they
see
always
I can
the
see the
gentlemanly
Eagles having the
finish.
ball. The Eagles having the ball at the end, needing a touchdown to score, and not getting the touchdown. So it'll be a
Yeah,
very close game.
yeah. I don't. Maybe it'll be a 10 point game going into the final 2 minutes, and then the Chiefs will give up another late touchdown or field goal or something like that to bring it back within one. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be just slightly higher. I think somebody will be in the 30s. So I think it'll be like a 31, 26, 27, 31, 27. I'll say that as a final,
Okay.
just for fun.
31-27. I'm just looking in case to see if there are any scores that have been 31-27 or 27-20 in the past. Um, there have been two 27-10 games, two 27-17 games. There's been no 27-20 game. What was you said 31-27?
31, 27. Yeah. The Chiefs did score 31 against San Francisco, 31, 20, 2020.
There has been no 31-27 game either. So each of those games would be a Super Bowl scoregami.
It was 31, 25 and 31, 17 in back-to-back years, 10 and 11. 31 is a fairly common score.
Yes.
31, 24 against Green Bay, Denver and Green Bay in 1998. There was 27, 17 Dallas, Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So that you would not want that. You don't want the you want a scorigami, not a scorigami. You want an anti-scorigami. That's what you need.
Yeah,
Yep.
what I really want is just the Chiefs to win, so I don't really care.
Yeah.
I don't care about my
Yeah.
bets at this point. I just want the Chiefs to win. And then the other
Yes.
that happens would be positive. Would just be gravy on top. Um,
There we go. The poutine of bets.
Poutine. Do you think the next right-wing Prime Minister of Canada will be referred to as uh, Prime Minister Poutine?
Hopefully.
If he's
When Canada becomes the 51st state, you mean?
Canada comes 51st state, because I think Justin Trudeau is not really looking forward to that right now. But enough of politics and enough of football, and enough of the Warren Track Power Hour for this week. We'll sign off since we've given our predictions for the final score of Super Bowl 59. We will, we will reconvene 1 week hence and talk about the aftermath of Super Bowl 59. Hopefully, basking in the Chiefs' victory glow, um, and not, in the shadow, not lurking in the defeat, in the shadows of the Chiefs' defeat. So we'll be back next week to talk all about the game and maybe talk about what the off-season plans for the Warren Truck Power, the NFL off-season plans for the Warren Truck Power Hour. See what we'll end up doing. Spring training is about to start. Basketball's starting to get into its interesting time of year, so we have other things to talk about. And football's off season is also somewhat interesting. We have the draft. It's almost draft season, and we'll have all that stuff to talk about in upcoming weeks. But this will be our last game until September of, so 9 months, almost 8 months, almost, I think. 7 months, I guess, total, right? February's the second month, September's the ninth month, so about 7 months of football, of a football void in our lives.
You mean
Um,
we're not going to be talking about the UFO constantly?
we do the UFL. We always mention that we're going to talk about the UFL. We never end up talking about the UFL on the War Trip. It's the Pro Bowl of sports leagues.
I was going to say we didn't even mention the Pro Bowl.
Oh, the Pro Bowl. Did you see the NFC one?
I saw the NFC one. That is the extent of what I saw because I
76,
also,
63.
as
That's
we discussed last week, I don't care.
Eli Manning's third straight victory over Peyton Manning as the coach or coordinator, or whatever they call them, of the NFC Pro Bowl squad. So,
Don't
um,
care.
don't care. Well, we hope you do care about the War Trek Power Hour, and that we come back next week and you continue to watch, loyal viewers and loyal listeners. Um, as always, I am Dr. Michael Werman. He is Dr. Andrew Scaff. We are the One Trick Power Hour. Please like and or subscribe to our YouTube channel, or our podcast is available on many different podcast delivery systems, platforms, devices, whatever you want to call them. Uh, you can catch us on the One Trick Power Hour whenever you please, because of the wonders of technology. And we also look forward to seeing you again, or hearing from you again next week, when we recap this exciting Super Bowl. And we hope your bets this weekend are successful, as long as your interests do not conflict with ours. We hope you don't bet on the Eagles and win. We want the Chiefs, of course, to win here at the One Trick Power Hour, as evidenced by Dr. Scaff's quarter zip shirt that he's wearing. Is it a quarter zip or is it a full zip?
Order.
Quarter zip. Or half zip, maybe?
I think quarter.
Quarter. They don't have third zips, do they? It's either
It's
quarter or
probably closer to a third, but I think it would be classified as a quarter.
quarter zip.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
But it also has this weird extra pocket right here for some
well, that's
reason.
nice. You can put a phone in there, maybe, or something. Is that what that's for? Or
Yes. I never
gloves,
thought about it, but
passport, maybe.
passport, yes. Yes.
Yeah,
There. No.
they could hold a
But like
passport.
it is a phone shaped, I guess.
Yeah, heart
Yeah.
monitor, pacemaker.
It could work.
guess most pacemakers
Maybe,
are
maybe one day I will have a pacemaker in there, but for now, don't need one.
yes. Or you could have a some sort of handkerchief pocket square type of thing sticking out of that
Sideways
sideways.
pocket
Yeah,
square.
yeah. That'll be
Yes,
the new fashion. You're always
on the cutting edge of fashion.
cutting
That's what they
edge.
say about me.
That's what they do say about Scaff. That's what they say about the One Track Power Hour as well. So we'll leave off uh, there, and you know, like always, we will wish you from the One Track Power Hour a good day.